make some noise to Sarah. Sarah, shall I open your file on Teams? It's all right. You'll be upset, Sarah. Be brave. No, she didn't. So what's your topic, Sarah? So finally, you're going to listen to something different. You presented something about it, right? Yes. Alhamdulillah. At least it's not about social media again. Is it fun? Where is it? Down? Yes, I recognized you, that this is you. Once I saw what you have written beside your name, I know that this is Sarah. For sure it's going to be Sarah. Okay. How about your exams, Yatam, today? Your exam today? Did you study? And be honest. No. Yes? You have read the book. Okay, which means you studied, right? This is what you're supposed to do, by the way. Okay, everyone, let's be quiet. Rahma, be seated and let's listen to your friend Sarah. I'll help you out moving between the slides. Yes.
So why are you? Basically, there are like real-life conversations. There are as a sort of face-to-face communications. We have to care whether we send a bad message or something because we have to be kindful. And your opinion, why do you think it's important?
Yeah. So why do you think are they important? She mentioned the reason. Do you have any other answers?
Or someone that's too far in another country.
Yeah.
Okay, so first we're going to be talking about the phone internet. So how you could answer a phone call at work. It's important to understand the specific threat expectations for how an organization should answer and how messages should be taken. So maybe you should be taking messages seriously, whether it's from your boss or something important.
Taman, I can see you moving in the class.
Yeah.
No, not you. They know themselves.
And you need to answer the phone, or you need to answer a phone call in the same scenarios. It depends. So voicemails and returning calls. It's important to make an appropriate voicemail message that clearly states the name and the greeting. So,
but we Arabs, we have never done that, right?
So in a voicemail, maybe you could start with a greeting. Like good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And maybe you could say, how are you today? I hope you're doing fine. Or maybe if they already know you, you don't have to put your name, because they already do know you.
Yes.
Maybe if they don't, you could just say, hi, my name is Sarah. Or how are you today? Hope you're doing fine. When you receive a voicemail, you must listen to the full message before returning the call. So maybe it will be more polite if you read the whole, if you listen to the whole voicemail message. So you could show that, or it could be really rude to ignore it or skip. So maybe if it was like important or something, you need to listen. It must be important. If you need to return a call from a number and you don't have the benefit of a voicemail, return your account for listening to call. This is an example. Hi, my name is, say your name, and I just received a call from this number today at the time. I need to check in and see. For example, you could just say, what do you need to check in and see? Do you know who could have tried to reach me?
Yeah.
Then you could just leave the call or something. Or yeah, it will be more polite if you say it in that way.
Yes.
Okay, so email is one, you must identify yourself clearly in your opening sentence. Before you start your sentence, yes, you will need to identify yourself, but you don't need to go like deeply and with your information or privacy. You could just say, hi, my name is Sarah, I'm 13 years old. You could continue your
Writing for.
Okay. Next, without mistakes or something grammatically wrong or an error. For example, you write so fast, I think, and you have mistaken some wrong grammar or something. You could just once you write it in the email, maybe you could recheck it if something is wrong, or you could just fix it before sending it. Pay attention to your subject line. So maybe you could make your subject line a bit short and clear, and it gives attention to the reader or
The one who's receiving the
Yes.
email.
avoid abbreviations and emojis you may use in casual text conversations.
We said something about the difference between them, Tam, and do you remember formal emails and informal emails? Did we write something on the board? As far as I can remember, I wrote you 2 emails on the board, and I showed you the difference between the formal one and the informal one. Do you remember?
You could avoid them because we all know that emails need to be sent in a formal way. So we could avoid those in the usual text we always send. Make sure at the end of your email you write down your signature. So signatures or closing are important to show respect. For example, like best wishes sincerely or thank you, you write your signature or your name. Refrain from colored textured backgrounds on your email message. Really fonts and lightly colored fonts. Maybe you could just avoid colored things because you could just keep it white or something in normal.
Formal, yes, black and white.
Or yeah. Down.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. Bravo, Sarah. I truly love your presentation. And I have had lots of it. I have never tried it. I'm thinking of making a one. Yellow Fatima, are you ready to present? Okay, shall I open your file on Teams? Oh, you changed the topic. So social media again? I thought that you're going to present something. Oh, okay, I see. Forgot to change the title. All right, happens. It's okay.
Don't be embarrassed.
It's okay, Fatima. Imagine that nothing has happened and that we're starting again.
Today I'll be talking about talking about Shakespeare's Theatrical Life.
Yeah.
By Mir Eisbal. Now, who is Shakespeare? William Shakespeare is a well-known talented actor, English poet, and playwright who was born on a special day, which was April 23rd, 1564, in the Elizabethan era, which was in London, England.
Under the rule of
In England, and sadly passed away on the same day, same month, in 1616. He was very popular for the poems he made. His interest in books and sonnets, which is another form of poems, but smaller.
Short poems, yes.
And his amazing plays he wrote back in his golden days, which are still used to this day after so long. It was it 400 years ago? Yeah. Around that. Many of the successful plays are Romeo and Juliet, Othello, Macbeth, Hamlet, and many more.
Yes.
Here is Shakespeare's timeline, from what I could write. His birthday, right in here at the beginning, 23rd. And Shakespeare's first marriage in November 27, 1582. He was 18 years old.
Sorry.
And when Shakespeare's wife gave birth to Susanna, his daughter, it was in 26th May, 1583. And Shakespeare's first play in many theaters, I don't know which theater.
This is shocking, you know. So he started his work after he has got married and after his, wife gave birth to one of his daughters, which everyone makes sure that the theory that they're trying to say nowadays is correct. I told you about this once, that scientists are saying that he was stealing from his wife. I mean, his wife, Anne Hathaway, is the one who wrote everything. And since back then, they weren't that much interested in women, it was like a man emperor. So they just avoid women, anything that is related to them. They were trying to, let's say, I'm not sure, to imprison them, okay? So they were not allowed to do anything in the society back then. So he was just stealing from his wife and pretending that it's like him. It's his, yes. This is what maybe because if he has done that, people won't appreciate him, as I was saying to you, since they were not that much into women back then. So if he said that his wife is the one who wrote everything, they won't appreciate it, and maybe he won't be famous. He's going to be ashamed. Yes, yes, and you're stealing from your wife. Even if he, as you mentioned, maybe mention his wife's name, they're going to make fun of him. Yes, Ruhi.
When Shakespeare has passed away, he passed on April 23rd, 1050. And over here, it was until the 18th, in the middle of the 18th century, when Shakespeare's popularity skyrocketed.
So suddenly, without any reason. So he was famous during his life, but he wasn't as much famous once he died. I see.
Now here is Shakespeare's work, all 37 of them. I wrote them down. He put it in 3 sections: tragedies, comedies, and histories. Histories are mostly Henry VI, and in tragedies you can see Antony and Cleopatra, Coriolanus, Hamlet, and King Lear. Over in the comedy was Oswald and Answell, Comedy of Errors, Love's Labour's Lost, and many more.
I've read only one of them, which is Midsummer Night's Dream, and it's a very good one. I really enjoyed reading it.
Now, here in Shakespeare's life, we'll talk about it. The Bard's life, if you don't know the Bard, it's another nickname for Shakespeare, but he also has another nickname, the Bard of Avon.
We had this in your book, do you remember?
Yeah.
You tell me it was mentioned in the topic that we have read about him. Yes, keep going.
Because he was born in Stratford, Bard Avenue, I think.
Yes, it's a small town in Britain.
Yeah. The Bard's life was well known far and wide, but people do not know the exact information, for it was so long ago. But many people and researchers do claim he was born in April 23rd and also passed away on the same day and month. Now let's begin with his life, actually.
Yeah, early life. Yeah.
Okay, now Shakespeare's father, John Shakespeare, was a glove maker and also made leather goods, like leather shoes, leather bags. And he was happily married to his wife, Mary Shakespeare. Her maiden name, her full name before she was married, was Mary Arden, who came from a farming family. Both the married couple had brought 8 beautiful children, including William, into the world in Stratford upon Avon, which can be found in England.
Yeah.
after William Shakespeare left his birthplace to go to London, the capital city of England, to start off with his acting and playwright job in a group called, wait a minute, you missed something. No.
Yeah, this is the one.
Okay, in the family of the Shakespeares, it consisted of the parents, 2 older sisters, 2 younger sisters, and 3 younger brothers, not including Shakespeare. That's a big family, to be honest. I feel
Yes.
kind of bad.
Why?
Because living in such a small place with a big family, I can tell it.
You can relate to this. Me too.
But 3 of his sisters sadly passed away at an early age. As William Shakespeare grew up, he presumably studied Greek, Latin, and history until he left school at the age of around 14 to 15, just to help his father with his works and trade. But William never went to university, which made many people look down on him. And around 3 years later, Shakespeare married a beautiful lady named Anne Hathaway. Their marriage was rushed because Anne was already pregnant. She was already pregnant. Around 6 months later, they had their first child, Susanna, and after 3 years later, Anne gave birth to twins, Hamlet, or wait, this.
Is it a female too? Like the twins like were females too? Hamlet and Judith?
Hamlet is a male, I think.
Oh, okay.
And Judith is a girl. Susanna is next to his child.
Because I was thinking, why did they pass away? I'm thinking that maybe somebody has maybe killed them.
Oh, the twins? One of the twins?
You mentioned that 3 females have passed away.
They're sisters.
Sisters, yes, sisters.
Maybe from a disease, I don't know really. Please continue. Sometime after, William Shakespeare left his birthplace and his wife to go to London, the capital city of England, to start off with his acting and playwright job in a group called the Lord Chamberlain's Company. But they changed it later to the King's Company, which they also later changed it back to the Chamberlain's Company. Shakespeare and his co-workers played in many different theaters and decided to have their own theater built, which was called the Globe, as we all know today. Shakespeare and his friends have made many plays inside the Globe. Music made by an orchestra filled the air, while sound effects were also added to intrigue the audience. The plays were played perfectly by the male actors, because in the past, women couldn't act. So
Yes.
all the males
Yes.
had to act. So it could make a person empathize with a scene and situation inside the play. Empathize means like relate to the feelings. So
Yeah, I think maybe he wasn't an actor by himself, but he wasn't a poet.
yeah.
They mentioned this, that, first of all, he was like a playwright and maybe an actor. I'm not sure.
Because this time he left his wife. Yeah, she left and came to London, so it doesn't make sense how he and poets could have been more.
Maybe, scientists are working on that, thing. I'm not sure. But I told you that they are like making some rumors about this, that he was stealing from his wife. As Fatima was trying to say, it was a I'm not sure how do they say it, yes. It means that it was a man's society back then. So women have no, let's say, voice. They were like imprisoned. So they just need to get married to a man and just like spend all of their days at home taking care of their children. So they didn't even like go outside the house and work and do any of this stuff as we have nowadays, unfortunately. So it's not only our, Arabs. It was also for them, the same idea.
And so what happened after all this? Now the Globe had been in an incident where one of the fire cannons, which was for the purpose of sound effects inside the place, had struck the building and made a disastrous fire. So they had to quickly build it back up, but only to close it up after some time later. And why? Because there was an outbreak of the bubonic plague. It was a very bad disease, like the COVID. So they had many people die at the time. It was a very sad time for them.
I've never heard of it.
It was very how?
Yeah,
What is it in Arabic called?
I'm not sure.
Is it?
Maybe Ta'un? Maybe, but I'm not sure, yes.
Okay. While Shakespeare stayed inside at home, he had kept his succession, his money, and used the time on his hands to write poems and sonnets. He even managed to invent new words from his imagination and one-of-a-kind brain.
We already know this, yes. Oh, bravo, bravo, fam. Everyone, it makes me more eager, like to find out more about Shakespeare. Do you have the same feeling?
No.
No? Why not?
The voice makes something you would say that the correct way for
Yes, probably. But do you agree with it?
No. What? Agree with what?
Men taking everything in the society.
The opposite. Everything would be good.
Why are you that much sure? I don't agree with you.
I mean, obviously not, but I mean, if we have equal rights,
Yeah, that's why you must be proud to be Muslim, since Islam, gave you everything that they suffered from back then.
women can relax at home.
Women can what?
Relax. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. If they have children, nothing. If you didn't have children, then that would be heaven.
A man would never think of having kids and raising them, since it's way much harder than making a living. Believe me. So I must be proud, everyone, again.
Why is it raising a child hard?
Because it is hard. Whatever I mention, reasons, you won't agree with me unless you tried it by yourself. See?
First.
Lack of sleep is the first thing that you will suffer. Why is it not copying? Yes. Don't get me started on that. The screaming thing. تعبك ما صلحته؟ Okay, I'll check it. طيب Taman, since tomorrow is your maths exam, let's see if you are ready. Not tomorrow? All right, I have a brain teaser to you that is somehow related to math. Not sure if we had this earlier before. Anyways, in 1990s, a person is 15 years old. 1995, that same person is 10 years old. How can this be? Think about it. It's easier than... Think about it. I'll give you a hint. So where was he born? Which year, everyone?
No, like he was born in 2019.
You're close.
1985.
No. No. Yalla, think about it. Shakespeare? No, it's not related to Shakespeare. No. 2000 and what? Shall I tell Sarah has an answer. Yes. You're very close. Yes, 2005. Got it. You didn't get it? No, I won't explain it. You need to explain it to me. You are the one who is having a math test tomorrow.
That's science.
No, it's not science.
Oh,
How did you relate this to science? You are the one who opened up the topic. Anyways, everyone, we're going to review some of the vocabulary that were mentioned in Unit 8, okay? Some of them will be mentioned in today's exam. So the first thing that you're going to do is fill in the blanks, okay? I have a paragraph to you, short one. You're going to fill in the spaces with the correct words, okay? Go ahead. Bravo. So I'm sure that you're familiar with all of them, maybe except the first one. Right?
Not each other.
How do we get the first word? The side. Yes, side. What does it mean?
Letting out the breath or something.
Yes. That's not the standard, but it's every day, right?
When you guys writing, then I do this.
Why? But writing is good.
No, never.
Never.
Miss, we have the best notes. We can use our keyboard.
It's a very good idea to use them in writing.
Yeah.
Because you forget all about the spelling. And this is why we write.
I mean, fail, like coming up with it. This unit fails the final English exam.
Who's done?
Done.
Who's finished? Okay, good. As I can see, I'm checking your own gadgets. Most of you have got 5 out of 5. Good. Because you're skinny, you need to get a little bit fat so I can be burning, right? Okay, shall we move on? Now, everyone, you'll be given sentences about being safe online. And you need to answer them with a true and false.
Let's not work. This the presentations of social media with us.
Okay, let's skip this. Let's move on to the most important part of today's class, which is listening yataman. You are going to listen to 2 conversations, okay? Let me explain them to you. So, as far as the first one, the interviewer of a certain TV show is going to present someone. Her name is Miss Brady. She is going to talk about using the internet for doing homework, as you using the internet all the time to do everything that is related to your courses, right? And the second one is going to be between 2 friends. We are going to discuss writing blogs. I asked you, Tamin, what's a blog? What's a blog? We have had something about it before. What's a blog? If you are maybe following any celebrities online, you know what I mean. Just laugh.
Basically, a blog is an informal way, like writing blogs on Instagram.
Good. Anything that is happening to you, like in your own daily life, maybe. Okay, so let's start with the first one. And always, before listening a Taman, we need to read. So go ahead, read them. Some of them might be tricky. But I want you to focus on the last one, number 6. Since it has a new word that maybe you have never heard of it.
Who was having the similar slides for English?
Salma? Again, speak about it here. Just click on that line. Sorry. Now, we'll listen to this together. Now, Hala, can I use your own laptop? You need to attach it so you can listen well, since mine is not working on the data show. So come here, please. Attach this to your laptop. Where do you put it? Here. Finished reading? Okay, yes, go ahead.
Now in the studio, I am delighted to welcome Charlotte Brady. Charlotte has 20 years' experience as a secondary school teacher and has also written a number of articles on technology and education. Today, Charlotte is here to talk about how secondary school students can use the internet to help them do their homework. Charlotte, welcome to the show. Tell us, do you believe that that students should use the internet for all their homework assignments?
No, certainly not. It's often not necessary. For most homework assignments, school textbooks offer students all the information they need. But for some homework assignments, which involve doing research, for instance, the internet can be a very useful educational tool.
I see, but I'm sure some of our listeners will worry that children are using the internet too much already, to chat to friends, for example, and shouldn't be spending even more time online to help them with their homework.
I understand this concern completely. In my research, I found that many British secondary school students spend up to 6 hours a day online. This is far too much and can have terrible effects on a teenager's health. But I don't think this should be a reason not to use the internet for educational purposes. Instead, parents should make sure that their children spend less time using the internet for entertainment and more time using it for educational reasons.
But how is this possible? For example, a student might tell his parents that he is using the internet for homework when he is actually surfing entertainment websites.
Well, that's the difficulty. But I think if parents and teachers work together, it's possible to find solutions. We need to guide and control the use of the internet for homework. For example, teachers should clearly tell their students which homework assignments they are allowed to use the internet to help them with, and make a record of this on an online page for parents to view. This way, a parent can know when their child is telling the truth about their internet usage. Also, teachers should provide students with key search words and specific sites to use, so that students waste as little time as possible online.
Those sound like good ideas, but what about the problem of plagiarism? Aren't you worried that students will copy texts from the internet and hand them in as their own work?
Of course, that's an issue. In a recent survey carried out in the UK, almost 30% of students between the ages of 11 to 18 asked said that they thought it was acceptable to simply copy text from websites and hand them in as their own work. But there's a way to fight this problem. Nowadays, there is software, such as Turnitin, that can easily spot plagiarized works. Teachers should use copy a section of a student's text into the software, and it will search the internet to see if it already exists online. If more schools start using this sort of software, students will think so.
Okay, everyone, I know that they're speaking so fast, but the topic is familiar with you, right? Yeah. Please let's anyway, much time on this. Let's divide the technology. How do we use it to make homework? Let's listen again one more time. Everyone, as far as the last one, did you get it?
Yeah.
So do you know plagiarism? Plagiarism is when you copy something from the internet. Do you remember when I told you when you do your research, you're not supposed to copy something from the internet? Because we can have some like programs to use that can show us if somebody is copying something from the internet. And we always use them when we examine, especially if you're writing exams. Since many of you copy something from the internet. I can see that some students are smiling. Yes. Yeah, but especially in the online exam. You know, I'm talking about the online exam, the ones that you do in your own laptops, iPads, gadgets. Most of you copy paste something from the internet. Okay, examine. Let's listen again now. As you can see, we're doing fine as you're checking the last question. Everyone, let's listen again one more time. Yes.
Before copying text from the internet.
Now in the studio, I am delighted to welcome Charlotte Brady. Charlotte has 20 years experience as a secondary school teacher and has also written a number of articles on technology and education. Students can use the internet to help them do their homework. Charlotte, welcome to the show. Tell us, do you believe that students should use the internet for all their homework assignments?
No, certainly not. It's often not necessary. For most homework assignments, school textbooks offer students all the information they need. But for some homework assignments which involve doing research, for instance, the internet can be a very useful educational tool.
I see, but I'm sure some of our listeners will worry that children are using the internet too much already, to chat to friends, for example, and shouldn't be spending even more time online to help them with their homework.
I understand this concern completely. In my research, I found that many British secondary school students spend up to 6 hours a day online. This is far too much and can have terrible effects on a teenager's health. But I don't think this should be a reason not to use the internet for educational purposes. Instead, parents should make sure that their children spend less time using the internet for entertainment and more time using it for educational reasons.
But how is this possible? For example, a student might tell his parents that he is using the internet for homework when he is actually surfing entertainment websites.
Well, that's difficult. Possible to find solutions. We need to guide and control the use of the internet for homework. For example, teachers should clearly tell their students which homework assignments they are allowed to use the internet to help them with, and make a record of this on an online page for parents to view. This way, a parent can know when their child is telling the truth about their internet usage. Also, teachers should provide students with key search words and specific sites to use, so that students waste as little time as possible online.
Those sound like good ideas, but what about the problem of plagiarism? Aren't you worried that students will copy texts from the internet and hand them in as their own work?
Of course, that's an issue. In a recent survey carried out in the UK, almost 30% of students between the ages of 11 to 18 asked said that they thought it was acceptable to simply copy text from websites and hand them in as their own work. But there's a way to fight this problem. Nowadays, there is software, such as Turnitin, that can easily spot plagiarized work. Teachers just need to copy a section of a student's text into the software, and it will search the internet to see if it already exists online. If more schools start using this sort of software, students will think twice before copying text from the internet and presenting it as their own work.
Very interesting. Charlotte Brady, thank you for being with us today.
It was a pleasure.
Since the time is up, can you just check if you have this for the person who has? I need you to remark. What do we need to do? Bravo, yes. So,